Graham, good to see you again. I'll just start with any team news that you might have going into Saturday. I know that there was a bit of cramp between Dan Oyegoke and Tyreek Wright, but I think you said this week that hopefully they should be okay.
Yeah, they both trained today and yesterday, so we think they're good to go. We'll just assess them again on Friday, just to make sure. But no significant issues from those two guys. So we've got apart from the couple of lads that I mentioned last week that will be missing to the end of the season, everyone else is fit and available.
4 games unbeaten on the back of 4 straight defeats. I imagine for you that is such a pleasing period to be in now. And I know that it won't be fundamentally where you wanted to be, but from where you were at Harrogate to where you are now, it must be so pleasing. Yeah,
it's frustrating that we can't keep these periods for longer and extend them and not go through what we had to go through in those 2 weeks. None of us wanted to do that, but if you'd have looked back, 10 minutes after the game at Harrogate in that change room, and we'd have thought we'd have won 10 points from the next 4 games, we would have snapped your hands off, and everyone would have as well. So, and it's not just the points. I think the way the players have played, the team's played, has been superb, and every credit to them. So, I'll keep repeating myself and be consistent with this message for consistency, but that's what we aspire to get, because we know what this team is capable of in any given game, but on both sides of the spectrum, and we need to make sure we're the significant end of the spectrum on a more regular basis. But I've been really pleased with the players, because we've had to dig deep from that real low point after Harrogate to pull ourselves together to show that we can be a good team and show the spirit and the sort of collectiveness that we need to take the team forward.
Yeah, 4 of those 10 points have been from losing positions as well. Yeah. So dealing with that adversity, I wonder, just from your perspective, it's easy to say that the confidence might be a bit higher because of the results of late, but psychologically, have you seen anything that's been a notable shift from, as you say, that 10-minute period after the full-time whistle at Harrogate to where they are now, and anything that they're maybe doing differently collectively as a group?
We've tried to change a little bit. We've tried to add a little bit more control to our game, not be as gung ho as we have been. Almost all or nothing. We've had a little bit more patience with our play. I think we're trying to, and we have spoke to the lads about the approach if something does go against us. Instead of trying to talk about avoiding it, we obviously want to avoid it, but actually bring it out in the open and say, okay, if this happens, how do we respond? What do we do? Why do we have to change or catastrophize everything? We shouldn't. The games are long enough, and we still got to do the things that we do in training and almost not ignore it, but almost ignore it really, and just continue to play. And I think maybe speaking about it openly with the players and saying this could happen, almost like a crisis management, if you so to speak, of actually saying, well, this could happen, but we have to maintain our behaviours and how we go about the game. And there was a couple of games where we obviously didn't concede and we won the games, so it was pleasing that we didn't have those moments. But for me, after what we went through, the 2 away games, conceding first and not falling apart and actually keeping our performance together and then getting back into the game, that is where we need to go to as a team. That whatever gets thrown at us, whatever challenge in front of us, and whatever happens during a game, that we keep our composure, we keep our control, and we believe in the way we do things. And it's great to see the players get the rewards from that in those games. So there's a bit of everything really, a little bit of just communication, a little bit of changing tactics a little bit, and we've been really pleased with how the players have performed in those games, in all of them.
And in dealing with those setbacks and talking about things openly, and I suppose, as you say, they're ignoring it to a point, do you think that is at the heart of achieving that consistency that you talk about moving forward?
Yeah, I think you have to understand that, it doesn't always go your way, and I think, and if we, there's a lot of talk, people want to be perfectionists, they want to strive for perfection, but it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So, let's, understand that some negative things are going to happen, we're going to make a mistake, or something's going to go against us, and actually accepting that, so it doesn't become a massive drama if it does happen. We obviously don't want those things to happen, but the best teams in the world go a goal down, or lose games. No one's perfect, so it's getting that out of our heads, understanding that these things happen, and then how do we approach? So it's I think for our consistency, because if you look over a season, there'll be 3 teams they've already been promoted out of our division in the top three positions. There'll have been spells this season where it was going against them and the results didn't go their way, but they found their way back into a rhythm and found the consistency, because to get promoted with 2-3 games to go, you've obviously been consistent over a 10-month period. So, but it's not been plain sailing for any of those teams. So it's just to understand that. And I think I've spoke about the amount of English league starts throughout our team. There's quite a lot of boys in there that haven't got a load. And they're playing for a big club with a big expectation and big support. So maybe going the goal down, having that negative thing happen, it becomes bigger than actually what it is. And so it's just adding that composure to these players, a little bit of experience. They've got to get it by going through it. That's what we see. So that's why we've been really pleased. Certainly, look, we've got good experienced players, but certainly those young boys will have learnt a lot from that 4-game period where everything went against us, and we didn't manage it ourselves very well to then turn it around, and that's how we become a better professional footballer. You go through tough times, you find out about your character, you learn about that experience going forward, and then you make it better the next time. And that's all we try to do, is just continually find ways to improve, accepting we'll have flaws, but we're still ambitious to be the best person, best footballer and best team we can be. And I think we've shown that in the last 4 games, but the challenge is still there. We're not the team we aspire to be, and there's still plenty of room for improvement from us.
I know you said this week that you as a club are pretty much there on your decisions regarding the future of players that are out of a deal in the summer, but you don't want to talk about that with them just yet. I wonder, Graham, how the squad and those players in that squad have dealt with that 4-game run of losses and then responded. How big a part they dealt with that has gone into your ultimate decisions on who you want to keep a hold of for next season?
Yeah, I think it's been a big part of it, because we wanted to see who was going to respond in the right manner, because next season, however good we will be, we will not be perfect. We will have difficult moments. We will have bad results, or a little bad run of form, or in-game moments where it doesn't go our way. How do we manage those? And if you can't manage those with the expectation at our club, then I don't know how you can help us go forward. But if you can, and you can show that experience or that potential to change and improve, that's what we've been talking about as a coaching staff. Right, let's challenge each individual in this aspect or certain aspects. So there's been lots of one-on-one meetings and analysis and reviews to see if each individual can respond in the way we know they'll have to for us to be a successful team. And the majority of those guys have done that for us and for themselves and for the team. So there's always a learning curve that players go through, but also coaching staffs about the players that they work with. So I've been really impressed with how the players responded, but this is still the period where, okay, can we extend it again? Can we extend it again? So it's going to go all the way through to the end of the season, that sort of judgment call. Because if we go back a step, then how far have we improved if it only lasted for 4 games? So the challenge is for us all, and I mean us all, is to continue to where we left off in the last game.
I know you've also said this week, in regards to the futures of Tyreek and Daniel, obviously their loan deals, respective loan deals are up in the summer, that they fit the player profile that you're maybe looking at moving forward. I just wonder if there's been any inclination at all from your perspective, from their parent clubs, that there is any opportunity or appetite for that to maybe continue for them maybe into next season.
Well, we're sort of currently trying to make contact with those clubs now. We had a meeting yesterday, myself, Chris, Ryan, Stephen Gent, about all a group of players. We just mentioned about, right, well, we have to sort of take these conversations further to see if there's any possibility, if the player, his representative, if the parent club see that happening, because it's all right talking to one of the parties, either the club or the player, but without all the information from all sides, we can't make decisions, or ultimately we're not in control of this decision. It's got to come from the other two parties, the parent club, the player, and then we're third on the list really. But we have to show our intentions. We haven't got control of the situation, but we can show our intentions and communicate our intentions of what we potentially want to do going forward with these players. So, but like I said, I think when we talk about how we want our team, or when we think about how we want our team to play, how the standards, the levels we want to require in the training ground, how we go about our business, then those individuals certainly represent the best of those attributes that we want. So it'd be great to do something, but we're a long way from it.
In terms of the available budget to you for the coming summer in regards to recruitment, obviously in Stefan's letter, he intimated the fact that there will be a greater push from himself to make Bradford City more competitive in the coming transfer window. Has that been a set figure? Have you found what that figure is, or will that be fluid based on what you might need as that window progresses?
Yeah, it's difficult to have a set figure at this stage, because obviously our season ticket sales go into that figure.
Yeah.
So we don't know where that will finish up. I think we have a lot of contracted players for next season. And looking at it, will they all be here? We don't know. So we don't know what we'll bring in player sales or trades or things like that. Players moving on. So there's it's a little bit of a fluid sort of figure, but it's certainly one that we feel would be competitive in next season's division. We've got a few details about what other clubs will have. We've got estimates as well. And listen, I'm not part of that doing budgets and figures, so I've only been. That's been communicated to me. It's not something I've worked out myself or tried to figure out. So, but certainly there's been communication. There's been assurances that it will be a competitive budget that will allow us to compete against the better teams in this division. Or what that division might look like, because obviously it's not 100% assured who will still be in League Two or in League Two next season. So. So long way of saying it. I don't know the exact figure, but I do know if the general ballpoint of that figure is achieved with our budget, and if we spend it wisely, because it's not just about having the finance, it's actually spending it wisely. If we do that, then we'll be a competitive team at the right end of the table. But it's not just the finance. There's a lot of hard work that has to go into that as well.
You mentioned there about any potential player sales or what that might do in terms of the overall budget. And there's been particular, I suppose, focus on young Harry Ibbotson this week. There was a report suggesting that a number of Category 1 Premier League clubs are looking at him because of the wonderful season that he's had with the academy. I just wonder how you see Harry's future at the football club. We've seen some pathway for Bobby Poynton. Obviously, Noah Wadsworth has come through as well. And as I say, Harry's had such a wonderful season for the academy.
Yeah, he has, and we've had limited time with Harry. He's had a couple of illnesses. He's ill now at the moment, unfortunately, because he would have trained with us today and yesterday as well. So we've had, I think when we first came in, we had a lot of forwards in the first team squad. So the chance to give him exposure to us was very limited, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to get the numbers down, is to open up the pathways for these young players to come in and compete and potentially flourish. So that's another positive side of having a more structured squad and a lesser number. It was impossible to do it before January. Impossible to even bring Noah up with us and stuff like that. So, but since then, we've had a more exposure to not just Noah, but Harry Ipperson and a couple of other players. So we're assessing. He was part of the conversations we had yesterday regarding that squad. He's obviously not in the senior squad, but he's a player that his numbers and his data from this season are really good, as in goal scoring. He's trained with us probably 10, 15 times since January, and we like him, and we just wanted to. That's why we're disappointed he's ill this week, because we were actually wanting the opportunity to potentially involve him in the squad, because we feel that he needs another challenge now, if possible. So let's see what the future brings. Look, like I said in January, at this level, every player has a price tag. That's the reality of the food chain in football. But right now, our ambition for Harry is to continue on the pathway through to the senior squad and see where it takes him.
And just finally from me, Graham, given that we're on the topic, I mean, how have you found your relationship with Neil Redfern? Obviously, he came into the club earlier this season as well, and he's looking after that age group. What's the dialogue like between yourselves, and how often are you monitoring what they're doing as much as you're monitoring what your main responsibility is? Yeah,
well, he was part of the meeting we had yesterday, Neil and Mark and a couple of the other coaches, so discussing all the young players, or the ones that are close enough to the senior squad, lads who we've had train with us. Like I say, we've probably had exposure to 9, 10, 11 players, because we like to, we train on the same site, which is a massive positive for us. We like to involve them. We have in-house games against the youth team with players that haven't played in the league game or the cup game for the first team. And then we'll get everybody else together and have a 11v11 against the youth team, so we can see how they compete against the senior guys, the first team players, and vice versa. And then we'll mix the teams up. So we have plenty, exposure to them. I think it's important to do that. Anyone, when we were talking about a few players yesterday, we'll either want someone in a certain position, which then we pretty much know who it is, or we'll ask for someone who we feel has done well from in the last 2 weeks, and then it's down to their judgment to just go, right, take him, take this guy, take these two, use it as a reward, use it as a challenge for them. So, we're in constant communication to make sure that we know exactly what these players are capable of. But the biggest connection we have is on the training pitch, where we're constantly having young players come through to train with us, and it's always good to see them. It's always great to see them, see how they take the challenge on, see if they stay within themselves, see if they put the chest out and take on the challenge. And we always try to encourage them to do that, to do what they do in the youth team. Continue to do that. If you want to be a first team player, then these are the guys you have to dislodge. I think it's a great experience for those lads, to see them up close, see the speed that they work out, the physicality, their movement, and that's where we really get the opportunity to test these young lads. So it's a big part of what we want to try and do here. It's been there before. I think it will be there in the future, but it needs nurturing all the time with that sort of communication.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks, Graham. Appreciate it.
Okay, James. Thanks.
Hi, Graham.
Hi, Sam.
You were obviously saying about the budget, a competitive budget for next season. I mean, from a sort of point of view, business point of view, seeing the 3 teams that have been already confirmed for promotion, were you sort of slightly glad that the fact that there's 3 of the arguably 3 of the biggest budgets are sort of disappearing from the division in terms of competition, from other teams?
My first thought was jealousy, if I'm being honest. That was it. I wish it was us. That's what I think. I think been fortunate enough to be part of those sort of feelings and scenes at the end of a season before, and it's an amazing feeling. So when you see somebody else doing it and it's not you, I think any competitor feels a tinge of jealousy that it's not them, but it's also a indication of the work you have to do going forward. But I think English football especially is always competitive. I don't think there's any easy divisions. I think obviously the the budgets of those clubs, I wouldn't say dictate that they finish there, because that doesn't dictate it. It obviously helps it and supports it. But each of those managers and players, the squads have done what it takes to be consistently winning. So they do. At the end of the season, if you're promoted, there's no luck involved over the course of 46 games or whatever it is. You deserve that. So fair play to them. But we feel we have to get our best game, and what we have to. So rather than look at what other teams might be doing or might have, or who's coming into the division, we know where we have to get this team to perform week in, week out, to win at this level. We already know where that the data, the feeling, the teamwork, the hard work, the work ethic, the physicality, the fitness levels, the organisation, set piece, output, all those things, regardless of who we're going to play against next season, will have to be in place from us. So for me, the challenge, regardless of who comes down, who comes up, who's still in here, will still be the same. We know where we have to get this team to perform on a consistent basis to be successful.
And you're saying, sort of broadening that out a bit, you sort of saying you're a bit jealous sort of seeing these celebrations. I mean, obviously the players themselves, this team of, when you look at the sides that have gone up, I think the 6 games you've played against, so you only lost the one, obviously the Mansfield game. I think, 2 draws with Stockport, some good games with Wrexham, obviously winning at Wrexham. These players have proved that they can match these teams at the top. Yeah. But obviously it's doing it more than about twice a season, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's what I mentioned before. We know what this team is capable of at one end of the spectrum and also at the other. And we've seen that in the last month, haven't we? Really, in over the course of the last 8 games, we've had 2 extremes in performances. So, and so we're trying to educate, instill the consistent habits, the consistent behaviours that happen day in, day out, to be able to perform at a consistent level. It doesn't just happen. I guarantee every player or person that is at this football club now, it doesn't just happen by wishing it along. It's about a consistent sort of mindset, and it's not always motivation, because sometimes you won't be as motivated as other times, but your discipline takes you through those periods. So it's about the discipline in how you train, how you prepare, how you live your life, and those things get you through the difficult moments, or they make those difficult moments really short, because you're already at a really good state of competing. So that's where we have to improve. We look, and there's part of the reason, or part of the, it's not just on the players, it's myself. I was getting to know the team, the squad. There was different spells, the really good spell we had when we first came in just before January. Then it was a difficult one. Then we were learning about players through January and all that sort of thing. The physical output, all the things that come into creating having a successful team. I was learning myself about this group of players. So it takes a bit of time to do that. So it's not just on the players having those levels of consistency. It's myself as well and all the coaching stuff. But we feel we've got a good grip on what we got right in front of us now as a squad, and I think we have a clear idea on where we have to improve it, and hopefully that will allow us to have that consistency. But the consistency we're looking for starts in pre-season. It starts in the off-season programme. The players taking that through, so they're ready to go from the day one in pre-season, and then the 6 to 7 weeks that we have in pre-season. That will all build up into how we perform next season, and we have to take on the challenge of filling in the gaps where we play at that level and we drop to this. We have to get that. We have to bring that line up to the other one, really.
And you're saying about obviously the motivation and mindset. I mean, this stage of the season, when players can sort of see the end in sight, is it sort of, does it change in terms of, as a manager, sort of make sure the focus is there, and nobody, inadvertently drifts a little bit, thinking, well, it's only 2 more Saturdays, sort of thing?
A little bit, but that I don't know. That makes it look like you don't like playing football, that you can't wait for it to be over. I don't really get that mentality, to be honest. That's it. Listen, we all like a holiday, and we all like the summer, and we want to spend time with our family. But we're in a great job here. You know what I mean? So it's not like grinding through at the bottom of a pit, hoping for the end of the day. we're playing professional football or coaching professional football. So there's that aspect. But that was a concern after the Harrogate game, that, you know, how does we as a club, the team, the squad, each individual, staff members, how do we approach these next 7 games after it looking like, boom, it's gone? And then that, and I said at the time, that comes down to your personal pride, your personal mentality, whether you need something, a massive big carrot to still do the right things, or you just do those things anyway, regardless. And what's it has impressed me, that there's been a load of players in the last 4 games have shown that they can still perform, regardless of what it potentially might mean or not mean. And that's where we have to get to, because you can't differentiate between games, whether one's more important or the other. It's every day, every game, every session, the lot always have to be there. So it's important for us that we and listen, we've still got 3 big challenges to make sure that we go in to the summer with this mindset and mentality. So the next 3 games are just as big a challenge as the last 4 games have been for us. You know, we haven't done anything, so let's not pat ourselves on the back that we've won 10 points from 4 games and just relax a little bit. Let's keep driving our standards forward. Let's keep trying to improve. Let's keep our levels high, because there can't be a player that's played in those games going home and not feeling good about themselves. I've seen the supporters leaving the stadium feeling good about themselves. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't you want that feeling as often as possible? So that's our challenge.
And the game itself tomorrow, obviously Walsall, you know, they're a point off the top 7 now. I think their manager was sort of saying the game the other night, it should have been sort of 4 or 5 up before Swindon equalised. Now they score again in the last minute. So it sounds like it's going to be quite an open game. I think they're going to come and it looks like they're going to have a real go at you.
Yeah, but I think I think at this stage of the season, you know, clubs might be in a position where they go, well, look, it's all or nothing. You know, we have to go for it or whatever, and they might be thinking that because of the close proximity to the playoffs. So, you know, what they do, how they approach the game. Listen, we've got a good idea tactically how they'll approach the game. You know, we obviously have our analysis to do that, and they've been quite consistent in how they've played. But their inward motivation, that doesn't concern us. It's about ours, you know, and it's about us going then and continuing and proving the things that I've just been talking about. First and foremost, every team we come up against, you got to think that everyone's motivated to win. You know, if they're not, then it's up to them. But our motivation has to stay the same. So. Yeah, look, I think what the players have done into English football over the last 30 odd years has been amazing, because it's kept the season alive for so many teams, and it means all the games virtually for all the season mean something. But you know, it needs to mean more to us than anybody else, and that's my focus.
Best of luck, Brian.
Thanks, mate.
Hi, Graham. Hope you're well. I mean, you're talking about, you know, like envy with, you know, Notts County, Wrexham, but I suppose do you sort of look at someone like Doncaster as well? Because that could have been you, couldn't it? Really, they've gone on that wins trail, and you know, that could have been you. Sort of gets in the playoff, that sort of thing. So they're always going to be a side who, leading a couple of sides who can break into it.
I'm more jealous of the ones that have done it. You know, to be honest, you know what I mean, they're there. They've crossed the line. It's not about the potential to cross the line. It's the ones that are there. You know, that's it. They've achieved success. It's the scenes. It's the feeling, the emotions that you get with those occasions, and the forward thinking, the anticipation of what's coming next season. It's all those things that I'm envious of, because it's rewarding. And that's what it is. And there's players in our squad and that have had those times. And listen, I think once you've had it whets the appetite to do it again. But there's also a lot of players that haven't had that, and I can assure them it's worth the work that they have to put into to achieve it. It's, you know, it took me a long time in my playing career to get to that level. You know, in my late 20s when I had my first success, and it was something I always wanted to taste again, because it's a fantastic feeling. But no one lets you do it.
Yeah.
You have to grind, and you have to work exceptionally hard.
You've obviously got two, Walsall and Barrow as well on Tuesday. The games with a bit of an edge on it through you're playing the good games to play at this type of the season, isn't it? It's not like games that are just not dead rubbers or anything like that. They've got a bit of an edge to them, and that's what you're probably useful in that regard, at least.
Yeah, but I think our edge has come in the last few games have come from ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't think Salford last week they weren't going for promotion. I think they were relatively safe. I don't think there was anything there, but we had the motivation going into that game. Our ambition was good, our intent, our desire, all the way through the game. I thought we were, from minute one all the way through, I thought we were the best team. So that's where we have to, this is it. This is our aspiration is to we're alive, we're awake, our eyes are open, so we're fighting. That's it. We're ready to perform. We're ready to win. That's the level we have to get to. So what's pleased me most in the last few games is not all the teams that we've played have had massive prizes to play for, but our performance has been really high, and that's really good to see.
You touched on that Harrogate game. It was tough at the time, and you've sort of got strength and improved from that. I suppose psychologically that could be big. That'll be a game that you remember, won't it? Really, you took some strength out of a bad situation. Going forward, that'll be one that will stick into your mind for good reasons and bad.
Mainly bad, to be fair. It's the games after that have been good. So, but it shows that when you think the worst thing happens, that there's opportunities to come back and show you real or the self that you want to be. We're not always that person. We're not always perfect, but you can always aspire to be that and do your best to show that. And I think that's what the players have done. So I like to use reference points, good ones, bad ones, because I think it's important. It's everyone talks about experience in life. So what is it? It's actions, and it's things that have happened to you. It's events. Yeah. So so the more you can go through, but actually come out better or improve from that, I think it makes you a better person. I think until you go through those periods, you might not think they exist. If certainly at the start of your career as a young player, but believe me, by the time I got to 30, I was a lot stronger than I was at 20. Maybe a lot more experienced of that. And sometimes experience can be a negative thing and knock you back. But if you've got the right character and personality, I think it can make you better. And what I've seen from this group of players, it's made us better.
How quickly do you move on from a season? You've had a lot of seasons in the game as a player and manager now. Does it take long? Can you turn the page pretty sort of quickly?
I think you have to, regardless of the outcome. I think you always have to look forward. I've been part of as a coach, as a manager, a couple of promotion winning teams. Now I remember 48 hours later talking about recruitment for next season, and unfortunately having to make changes to players who had won us promotion, and stuff like that. It's it has to be that way. You can't sit back and look back too often. Listen, it's important that, certainly if you've been successful, that you enjoy it. But I just think the nature of the game now and life is the next thing, and I think that's how it should be. It's about the next event, the next campaign. So I think you learn a lot from it, and you can use it as a reference point. But carrying it on your shoulders, whether it's a negative, whether it's a positive, I don't think it helps you going forward. I think you've got to reset a lot of values and a lot of ideas, and so I think in this sport, you constantly looking forward. So like even after the Harrogate game on the Monday, I was just looking forward to the next game. That was it, and we had to make sure the players were doing that, and that's what we'll do as a club whenever this season finishes.
Yeah, I was going to ask you finally. You're a very organised, fastidious manager. Are you the sort, when it comes to close season, bringing in players if you can, bringing them, a relatively early juncture to get them, assimilated into everything into your ethos and everything that the club's about and you're about? A lot of managers seem to not feel that.
Yeah. I think it's important, but I think it's also important that you have the patience to sign the players that you will take you forward, and so there's a patience there. I think we have a clear idea of the profile of player that we want to bring in. We've got names for some of those players, but not all the positions. So it's a case of, if that player is still available and he's our first choice, but he's not here for the first week of pre-season or so forth, but we still have a real good opportunity to get him, or we feel that, then we have to be patient. But it's not about just making sure we've got the 22 players or 23 players in place for day one, but we've gambled on a few and just for that purpose, we have to win games over a 10-month period. And so I'm not going to rush things to get them in by the first day. But if we feel it's the right player, then we'll work exceptionally hard to make sure that happens.